also share with the audience that we have live transcription enabled. So if you would like to follow along with some captions, please feel free to press that button and that is accessible to you.
Oh, good. Okay. Live transcriptions. Oh, this is why I say this stuff is awesome. This technology. Thank you.
Yeah, well, feel free to take it away when you're ready, William.
Okay. All right. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning in some cases. This is William Jackson here in Jacksonville, Florida. And before I begin, I would like to say, unfortunately, Aida, my adorable, wonderful wife, is not able to join us at this moment. She's at work, taking care of business at work, but hopefully she'll be here during the course of this presentation, this gathering, this discussion. And we appreciate you taking your time out of your busy days to come out and listen, learn, contribute, be engaged, have some fun, share some information, and hopefully we can give you some insights on some new, really cool stuff related to the internet and related to the metaverse, which we're specifically talking about this evening. So just a little bit about myself and my wife. We are educators. I'm a retired teacher. I retired this past August from 33 years teaching STEAM. And if you're not familiar with what STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and we've adapted, or as Aida likes to say, pivot to incorporating the metaverse. And we like to share with our students, whether they're in middle school, high school, and our higher education class, that this is the way the world is going in relation to all manner of tech careers. And in some form or fashion, during your course of work or collaboration or cooperation, and as you know, you're exposed to different types of technology. And as they grow and develop, one of the important things is to have an open mind about what's going on around you, see the beauty of the diversity that's engaged in the blending of tech as it is now and as it transforms and pivots in the future. So I am an old tech person, and the reason I say that, I've been involved in the metaverse and tech since the early 1990s. And I have to give props to my mom, who was a high school teacher. She taught shorthand. Now, if you remember what shorthand was the process of teaching young people that after high school, they can go into a career in law or business, where they actually took shorthand notes, and shorthand notes involve different types of coding, documenting information very quickly. So court reporters, secretaries, those individuals that worked in that realm were proficient in shorthand. And my mom taught that for years. Then she transitioned to teaching on manual typewriters, where there, of course, wasn't electricity. So you had to have some manual dexterity and some strength in your hands to initiate typing. Then she transitioned into electric typewriters from IBM and so forth and so on. My mom passed in 2004, but during those courses of her instruction, she exposed myself, my brother, and my sister to so much technology that it was, it was almost comical at the time, because when she got something new in her classroom, who did she call on to help set it up? Not the maintenance people at the school, not the IT department, which at that time they didn't have, but of course, she told her kids, set this up for me in my classroom. And, we learned quite a bit, but we didn't realize at the time, being kids, that our mom was setting us up with early tech skills so that we could transition to careers in technology, which we do have. And Aida shares a similar story. Her mom passed as well a couple of years ago, but during her growth and development of teaching Aida and her brothers and sisters about technology, her mom was, if I don't get this incorrect, the first Latina woman here in Jacksonville to have a computer store. And she was the technician, she was the owner, she managed it, she ran the store. And Aida proudly shares a story that when people came into the store and they asked to see the tech, her mom would say, "I'm the tech," and they wouldn't believe her. And they were like, "No, seriously, who's the tech?" And her mom would say, "I'm the tech, I'm the person you need to talk to." So after she explained her knowledge, of course, and they felt comfortable, she took care of business. So she used to build computers, laptops, do all the cool stuff that not too many people do today. But she was very proficient at, and we always give props and praise to our moms and our dads for encouraging us in technology. And fast forward today, learning about the metaverse and multiverse and alt space VR and spatial and all those areas. The good thing about it is that those platforms and spaces are free, which help alleviate the cost of, oh, I got to spend extra money to, start a new program or platform. So even though they are immersive, they require and I always like to refer to this, a kid's frame of reference in using technology. First of all, have fun with it. Don't put yourself under a whole bunch of pressure. Don't think that you have to be the expert. And my thing is, if there's somebody that claims to be an expert about the metaverse, slowly back up, because there are really no experts, because there's so much changing and so many dynamic things are going on. Just for everybody's knowledge and to be transparent, June 10th of this year, I celebrated my 60th birthday. Yay, me, yay. I feel it every once in a while, but mentally, I'm still a big kid. So getting engaged in technology, and I always say that if I can do it, anybody can do it. I'm a former health and physical education teacher that has been involved in WordCamp and WordPress since 2010. And just having that excitement of the community and what I'm learning and what I'm engaged in, it's a wonderful thing. And you have to think about just 5 years ago, a lot of what we're doing now was not available. A lot of things that were happening. And these are just a couple of pictures, of us in real time. We are part of the WordCamp Jacksonville crew here in Jacksonville, Florida. But we are also VR, virtual reality, and STEAM educators. Aida is a proud NFT artist, and NFTs are non-fungible tokens. She is an artist in that realm and in that platform. She has an art gallery, which we'll see later on, called She, one of many. And when you hear the diverse terms and the dialogue that goes on, the more you hear it, the more you pick up on the terminology. So as I said before, STEAM is science, technology, engineering, arts, math, and metaverse. So all of those are applicable because as your children are growing, as your grandchildren are growing, as your nieces and nephews are growing in their academic endeavors or careers or their journeys, STEAM education actually prepares them for different careers, because with that type of education, it's all of it's project-based. And you create projects and you develop projects and you manage projects, and all of that encompasses different skills, talents, and abilities with those that are here now are able to do across the board. So I know in here we have graphic designers, we have coders, we have developers, we have people that are really diverse in their background in using WordPress. So all of those areas would still be considered STEAM because they allow you to function in technological areas that have multiple backgrounds to them. We are also involved in a platform called Engage, where we're teaching in the metaverse as well. And the cool thing about it is, if you've heard before, the metaverse allows you to be an avatar. So your avatar can represent who you want to look like, who you want to be, what you want to be, how you want to interact and engage in the world. So as we go into this, hopefully some of y'all are taking notes. As a teacher, we always encourage people to take notes, because you'll remember some of the things, you'll remember some of the terminology, but it's always good to take notes. And this is also being recorded. So thank you for Destiny for doing this. And setting this up for us, and it is greatly appreciated her hard work and scheduling. And at one time we did have to reschedule because we did have a hurricane here. Actually, we had two, but this second time around is the charm. So going on, the metaverse, it is actually, and if you're not influenced by now, you will be, how do people communicate with each other, how you collaborate, how we each cooperate with each other, and even the socialization aspect of interacting with each other. If you see the picture on the right, that is a picture of Aida and I. Those are our avatars that we use when we on AltSpace VR, when we attend church in the metaverse. And yes, there are multiple churches of different denominations and backgrounds on the metaverse. And when we're talking about this social engagement, it encompasses any engagement just about that you can think of that's brings people together and allows them to cooperate with each other and work with each other. Previous to this week, last weekend, we were speaking at WordCamp San Jose in Costa Rica. And one of the things that we emphasized was that if you're involved and engaged or active in WordPress, you should be prepared for or preparing for or getting ready for the digital changes that are going to influence how web development is engaged in the world. So when you have immersive environments, you're still going to have web pages. Companies are still going to desire or want or need that web presence, but they're also going to pivot a little bit in wanting something that's engaging, interactive, immersive, and more conducive to an environment that is changing the internet, which we call the metaverse. So building, designing, and creating websites with WordPress, them of themselves will not really change too much, but the actual blending and collaboration of taking a WordPress site and blending it with a metaverse site is coming. There's substantial changes now where people are creating sustainable futures in web development and immersive environments, because you're looking at the generational backgrounds of the young people. So now I'm 60. So when I say young people, I say anywhere from teenagers to like 45. Okay, so if you're in that range, give yourselves a hand, celebrate, give yourselves a pat on the back. If you're a little bit older, you're not old, but you're at that point where you're like, well, what is the use of all of this? Because I'm already set in what I'm doing. And the use of it is being adaptable and being able to, and I use this term a lot, that Aida loves to hear, pivot to where what you're doing now can still be conducive as the technology changes in the future. And we see, watching different movies and different videos, how more and more the metaverse is being integrated into what we're doing in the world. In our classes, we like to ask our students, the past Super Bowl, how many of y'all have seen the commercials from the past Super Bowl dealing with either Web3, blockchain, metaverse, or other areas dealing with those combination of web development and access to blockchain? So, if you're really paying attention, there were quite a few. And in mainstream media, when they start showing and sharing that information, that's a telltale sign that, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's happening, and we need to be cautious and aware. So all this information is relevant. And according to your knowledge and your skills and your abilities, it allows you to increase your connections in the world. So the benefits of it, as I said before, the majority of the sites that you can participate on are free, and it increases your collaboration and it increases your connections with people from around the world, thus being able to network on another level, collaborate on another level, and bring together people of so many diverse backgrounds that it's a win-win situation. Case in point, Aida is a celebrated artist with her NFTs. But before that, she was a celebrated artist anyway, because her paintings and drawings were key in several productions here in Jacksonville and other places. She has sold several pieces of art that were the standard traditional pieces of artwork. Now with NFTs, they can be placed on the blockchain and they can be sold. They can be shared around the world, more inclusive to the changing of the economics. So that means they can be sold on the blockchain using different forms of digital currency. So understanding those areas and adapting to them are very important. So history is key as well, okay? So one of the things about the metaverse, the term metaverse was first used in a book by Neil Stephenson, and the book was called Snow Crash back in 1992. And this wasn't so far along. My son was born in 1992, so that makes him like 30, 31 years old. So, you know, you look at, my gosh, time travels so fast that the influence of literature in how technology changes and how technology advances, that you never know the pieces of literature, science fiction and mystery and the arts affect how our perception of the world changes. And in the book Snow Crash, Neil shares how there are virtual worlds and virtual universes in these metaverses or virtual worlds. Now, if you have the opportunity to read the book, you have a little bit of information ahead of time about kind of sort of what to expect. But the idea that people are walking around and interacting and engaging as avatars is key and important, because we're actually doing that now using devices that go over our eyes and our head. So I want to make sure I clarify something, that the metaverse, or excuse me, Meta or Facebook is not the only metaverse. There are hundreds of metaverses out there. At last count, I believe, when I was doing some research yesterday, it was like 103 metaverses, but they are substantially growing because more and more people are more and more comfortable with the coding and development aspect. And we like to share, if you're, you know some kids or your grandkids are using Roblox, they're using Minecraft. Those are areas where they're related to the metaverse. And it requires the knowledge and the patience and the creativity and innovation to have in your mind, I'm going to create a virtual world. And in that virtual world, there are going to be avatars. And those avatars are not only going to represent themselves, but they're going to represent their friends. A couple of projects that we had young people do is to create worlds in Roblox and in Minecraft, but to gear them toward the frame of reference of them being business owners. So as a business owner, and we share this from time to time, it is always important to remember, as a business owner, it's not always about the competition, but it can be about the collaboration as well. So when you're creating these worlds in Roblox or in Minecraft, think about creating a community where you're collaborating, you're cooperating, so everybody benefits from the world that you're building. Everybody has a stake in what's going on. That you recognize and understand the value and the importance of the diversity that is a representation of not just your avatar, but who you are and what you're doing in these spaces. What are your goals and objectives? Because in this world, we have a global economy, and that economy has really been shown because of global climate change, wars, different things going on politically, and the structure of the world, that it's a ripple effect economically, socially, culturally, and other areas, that when something happens in one country or one nation, there's a ripple effect and everybody feels it around the world. So as businesses are developed and businesses are managed, we try to make sure that the young people, students, understand that you may have a business here in the United States, but you may be working with someone in Africa. You may be working with somebody in South Korea. You may be working with somebody in China. You may be working with somebody in Japan. So never doubt the growth potential and the power of collaboration as opposed to competition. So I'm gonna, let's see, check the chat for just a second to see, there is a recording going on and we are recording it. And thank you for all of those that have joined. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And here are different versions of the book, Snow Crash. Now, the reason I'm showing the different versions of the book, there are different versions of the metaverse. The metaverse, the different platforms, whether it's spatial, AltSpace VR, Decentraland, and other places, have a similar look, but their feel may be different because you don't have to just use an Oculus. You can use your laptop, you can use your phone, you can use a tablet. It just depends on the electronic device that you're using to access that information. So be wary of the fact that our engagement can be across multiple platforms, okay? Our engagement can be in a business environment, in an educational environment, in a ministry environment. There are capabilities now, instructors are learning that they can have environments created and built where they can actually be on a representation of Mars, or they can be in the ocean, or they can have experiments where it feels really real and immersive, but you have that safety aspect where you can perform things and things may blow up or things may move around or things that may happen in those environments, which can be engaging to youth, teens, and young adults in education and business, but there's not the worry of the potential of hurt or harm or danger directly to people. So what can you do? Well, just about, but not totally, in real life, you can do multiple things. So you can walk around, and we'll show you later on some of the sites that we have. You can talk to people. You can teleport and you can travel in the metaverse. Now, these are significant because just imagine you're building or designing or developing or you creating a website, and integrated in this website that you're building with WordPress, you're in your coding and your linking of the website, you can link to a metaverse site. So your website can be as dynamic and have animation and all the relevant tools and everything that you want in there, or your customers may want in there, to give a lot of engagement. But if you can click on a link and it'll take you to a metaverse site where not only are you an immense and a 360-degree environment, but there are other people in there from around the world. The use of 3D spaces and where you can buy land and own land, and you can be interactive with your avatars in these spaces are key and important, because now you're moving to where you're owning land, or you're in an environment where you own that environment and you can allow people to come in. Recently, there was an advertisement for, I believe it was Brazil in South America. They were having a concert that they were having in real live person or on the metaverse. Several weeks ago, the real live in-person concert had over 1,000 people, but the metaverse site had over 5,000 people that had requested to join. Now, you can't actually get 5,000 people into one metaverse site because there are restrictions and constraints based on the type of server you're using, but you can break it up into different portions. Like one server can hold 50 people, one server may hold 60 people, so forth and so on. So they're all engaging at the same time, but they're on different servers. So using and understanding the knowledge of the engagement of the server technology, creating and using software to build your environments, creating an opportunity where people can come together and they can meet and they can exchange information and they can engage with each other is very important. Your digital assets, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, and we've heard a lot about that in the past. It's not just artwork. Anything could be an NFT because it could be placed on the blockchain. Anything could be an NFT, music, artwork. Teachers are putting their lesson plans as NFTs in their curriculum. Businesses are making some of you may have heard of smart contracts. So anything digital that can be created as an NFT because it's a document that is online. It can track and show when it was created, where it's shared at, who owns it. And that's key and important because in this age of digital technology and digital assessment and all of our engagement that we have now, you're posting stuff, you're creating stuff, you're managing information online. You want to make sure that it is as secure as possible. But as an artist, and when I say artist, I don't mean just necessarily the traditional artist, but you can be an artist in whatever you're good at and whatever you're doing. You want to make sure that your works of art are tied to who you are and that you control them for the most part and that they're secure and that you have in your knowledge that if there's something out there that you created, you are given credit for and it's there on blockchain, it's there on the metaverse, excuse me, for everybody to know that it's yours. And that's very important and that's very key. So
William?
NFT,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. We have a couple questions, but if it's not appropriate to ask them now, I'll
No,
pause.
go ahead. Yeah, that's cool. That's okay.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
We had Asher asking, why would you say Second Life and other virtual worlds have been seeing decreasing activity? It seems like Facebook is a quote unquote copy of Second Life and other previous virtual world games meetings. What's your thought on the future of offline? I think there's a couple questions there. So for the first one, why would you say other virtual worlds like Second Life have been seeing decreased activity?
I think one of the things is if you examine human nature with anything, we get to the point where we're so used to something, we need something else to excite us, something else to motivate us, something else to engage us. And it's like, anything, you get a new car, it's got all the bells and whistles, it's the color that you want. You can turn your radio up as loud as you want. You can have the driver assistance in it. You can have all of that. But after 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, then you're like, okay, well, what's the latest model? You're comfortable with what you have and you're looking for something else that inspires you more, engages you more, and provides that oomph that that you want or that you need. And with video games, we play video games, and you get to a point where you either get close to beating the game or you have beat the game. Now you're moving on to something else. And in a lot of the virtual worlds, people are becoming more and more comfortable because you get to the point where you're meeting the same people, you're having the same conversations, and then it's like, okay, what's the next big thing? And if you look at human nature in the past, we've been through, oh my gosh, how many other social platforms have there been in the past? And that everybody jumped on and we registered and we were involved in it for a year or two, and then it's like, okay, well, what's new? What's next? And somebody comes out with the next new thing. So, and I think as we do that, the technology changes as well to meet our needs and keeps us excited and keeps us feeling that, we can achieve even more. So hopefully that answered the question.
Yeah, I'm hearing within that, like kind of like a lack of innovation, siloed spaces is kind of a symptom of decreased activity there.
Right.
And I would even say, like, I played Second Life before too, and I think it's not well advertised
Okay.
as well outside of the community that knows it. So could even be a PR issue.
Right.
And then the other question we had here was, what are your thoughts on the future of offline?
Offline communities or,
Yeah, Asher, do we mean offline communities there? Like everyone's just, okay, yes, offline communities.
well, well, let me put it this way. If I'm receiving this correctly, there are so many offline communities that are out there now covering every aspect of humanity that's out there. If we look at, and as I'm saying this, if I'm taking this in a different direction, redirect me, but you look at each month of the year is dedicated to either breast cancer awareness, cultural representation, medical issues, historical events, so forth and so on. And those give people that have similar backgrounds or similar passions opportunities to get together and share those ideas and share those passions. You already have that in place, in different communities. So we know from like September 15th to October 15th here in the States is Hispanic Awareness Month, or celebrating Hispanic culture. February is Black History Month. You have other events and activities during the course of the year that celebrate different cultures and different backgrounds. So those are important as well. But I think the wonderful things about the metaverse and spaces are that people that have accessibility issues or mobility issues, this gives them a chance to find their niche, find their people, find their communities. So that way they may not be able to meet physically, but at least they have environments where they can meet and collectively share information and gather together. And a perfect example at the church that we fellowship at, First Meta Church, we have people that come from Scotland, South Korea, across Europe, Asia, Africa, and in some cases, individuals that, as I was saying, have challenges, mobility challenges. They can't move around. Some people are autistic, so they feel more comfortable in those environments because they've created that avatar of themselves that represents themselves. Some people that we met are, permanently in wheelchairs or devices that help with their mobility. Now, they may not be physically able to travel, but through the metaverse and through immersive environments, they are able to meet people around the world. And that inspires them to continue each and every day to, hey, there are people I can talk to. There are people I can have relationships with. There is a reason for me to wake up each morning to get online and see my friends and adopted family members. So yeah, it's pretty cool when you have conversation with someone and they tell you, they have anxiety about going out into the real world, but they feel comfortable connecting with people through the metaverse.
That is a very interesting turn that yeah, like people who should not be considered edge cases are given access in
Right.
this way. And if you don't mind, I do want to kind of plug for this, since it's talking about offline, I do think it will still be a thing with, since the digital divide is still very real, right? Actual access to the internet would be a blocker for some people too to fully engage virtually. So offline won't die that quickly.
Right. Yeah. And unfortunately, there is still a digital divide. There doesn't have to be, because Aida and I, we teach a class on Mondays in Nigeria with a primary school, and Friday in Kenya. And when you're doing background research, Africa is encompassed by a high-speed data access to the internet. But unfortunately, the governments in some cases restrict that access because we have constitutional rights, and I don't want to get into politics or anything, but we have constitutional rights of freedom of speech and freedom of expression. But it also goes to freedom of using the technology that we have to learn about the world around us, to learn about other cultures and other people, how to collaborate. But unfortunately, in other countries, the access is there, but they're not given access to use either a smartphone or a tablet to gain access to those resources. And I'm sure one day the economics and the politics will change so that everybody in the world will have access to that information, access to each other, because we're now in an economic situation where it's not dire, but it relies on people to be able to be business owners and entrepreneurs to build up their communities economically and educationally. Because the saying is a city or a country is only as strong as the least educated in their nation. And the more people that are educated, the more people that are empowered, the more empowered that nation is and more influential in good ways. So that way, education and business ownership and entrepreneurship is very important, and the access to technology equally and equitably is valuable.
Snaps to that. Asher does have a couple more questions, but I know you have more content you might want to go through. So I'd like to invite you to maybe continue, and then we can jump back to questions if that feels right to you.
Yes, ma'am. Sounds good.
Okay.
So if you don't know who this gentleman is, this is the Batman from the Batman movies. Now, Batman is known for all this wonderful, great technology and knowledge about all this stuff, how to put it together, and along with his physical skills. So you look at not just Batman, but you look at in the Marvel universe, Iron Man. You look at the developments of Black Panther. You look at the developments of other created characters. If you look back in the past with Dick Tracy with his watch and the Jetsons, I believe this year, the Jetsons, I can't remember exactly the month, celebrate, I believe it's like 60 years of the Jetsons, George Jetson and his family. But you look at even in these characterizations, how the technology grows and how it develops and how it has changed over the years, which shows that it's an ever-changing, ever-evolving situation. So here we have, everybody knows who this young man is, and the changes, how the metaverse is changing everything, cartoons and games and televisions and advertisements, even the movies that we watched in the past, like The Matrix and Ready Player One, and other entertainments as well are embracing the aspects of the metaverse. Mark Zuckerberg had a video that he put out about the changes relevant to Meta or Facebook. And it's key and it's important that when you have the opportunity and the time just to watch YouTube videos and just to read as much as possible, because that gives you a perspective on how the world is changing. And as a teacher and as a parent, Aida and I, we always encourage parents and grandparents, don't try to be an expert, but just try to be knowledgeable so you can have conversations with your nieces and nephews and with your grandchildren and with your children and with your children's children, so forth and so on, so that you understand where their mindset is on what they're doing with the tech, how they're applying the tech. And one of the great things I have learned and appreciate over the years from my grandmother, nothing beats common sense. So you can have all the tech in the world, but if you're not using it and applying common sense, it can get you in a whole lot of trouble. All right. So when you're looking at the changes, and also this is a business model for them. And we have to look at what will the metaverse allow us to do? What are the capabilities? What are the opportunities? Social planning, planning engagements, planning activities and things in the future, getting people together to talk about social issues and climate change. Strategic development, companies are using the metaverse when their employees are coming in as avatars so they can have strategic development meetings about the changes in business, the changes in advertising, the change in how they structure their business model to meet the needs of customers, to meet the needs of their employees. Collaborations, this is unparalleled when you can talk to people around the world. again, on social issues, on issues that people are passionate about, that you can collaborate and solve issues and solve problems. Diversity, we're in an age now where people are still learning about the benefits of diversity, of the diverse environments around them, and the diversity of people, and the empowerment of talking with people of different backgrounds and different cultures. Because when it boils down to the social issues, we still all want a beautiful planet. We want a healthy planet. We want our children to grow up safe. We want them to be as educated as possible. We want to be able to engage with our neighbors and find common ground. And teachers are using technology as well, because we can no longer do what's called chalk and talk. Teachers going up to the chalkboard, that is no longer available. There's a teacher, her name is Dorothy, in South Africa, and she's doing phenomenal things with technology, and she's working with her teachers in her community, getting them away from chalk and talk and using technology. And of course, being engaged. Engagement is key. Bill Gates said content is king, but engagement is queen, because engagement allows us to learn from each other. Engagement allows us to have our eyes open to see another person's viewpoint so that we can embrace new ideas and move further and build. With WordPress, which is really important, building digital communities. We set the foundation as WordPress developers and web developers and graphic designers and all of those parts and pieces that allow WordPress to be to command 45% of the web development and continuously growing, but expanding globally when allowing WordPress to blend with the metaverse to extend its reach. And not only that, but collaborate globally, because eventually it's going to be a point where all the technology in some form or fashion is going to be able to be blended together, and that it will collaborate, cooperate, and work together so people can communicate and share information even more. And as I always say, diversity is important because it's going to encourage diversity. Because, it used to be when you're on the internet, it was an old saying, nobody knew if you were a dog, cat, squirrel, rabbit, or whatever, because what was important was the knowledge that people shared with each other, the information that we share. And the facts and information that's on the internet is important. So knowledge is very powerful. Avatars are cool. And these 6 key areas of the metaverse are the 6 goals. Now, this is a fluid list: education, entertainment, making money, marketing, content creation, art expression are all key components to the metaverse. And each of us can probably add 2 or 3 to it. But we have to understand the foundation is it encompasses the world and allows all of us to work together. It's here in Spanish. We presented much of this information at WordCamp San Jose in Costa Rica. And even in Central and South America, ideas and visions and opportunities are opening up more and more with the WordPress community there in Central and South America. And more WordPress conferences as well are bringing in opportunities for the metaverse to be ingrained in conferences and what we're doing as the WordPress and WordCamp family. And it's important here, as it says, to focus and have clarity on how we're going to use this technology to benefit each and every one of us, right? There's going to be some hard questions soon about adapting and applying and using. So this is where we have these conversations. It's wonderful that we're having this meeting here so we can share ideas and opinions and challenges and overcome, information that may be false or information that may be correct. So that way we can pivot and still grow and expand beyond that. So one of the first sites is Aida's She Gallery. And this is on a spatial gallery. The site is spatial.io. And again, these are free. So she created a gallery from this past summer. She was invited to participate in a poetry event that was actually taking place on the continent of Africa. And what I'm going to do is I am going to stop sharing right here so I can share that gallery. And as I do this, is there, you want to bring up some more questions?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
definitely. So another question we had here
Okay.
is how or what are your thoughts on helping people to do more augmented reality versus virtual reality? And is augmented reality more popular than virtual reality?
I think it just depends on what you want to use it for with anything. The gaming environment has a blending of 3D, augmented reality, 2D. So whatever you want to use it for and apply it. And we have to remember the technology is still changing. So not everyone has the latest and greatest and fastest computer or laptop or whatever. Not everybody has that. What is it? The computer that has the liquid coolant going through it and all that kind of stuff. So you use the tech in the way that best benefits you. And as you learn more and more about how to use it and apply it, that is very key and that's very important. So learning terms, you have augmented reality, extended reality, virtual reality, spatial reality. There's several more. The more you learn, they all sound cool, they all sound wonderful, but then it goes back to what are you actually using it for and how can you actually apply it?
Excellent. Another question we
Mhm.
have is in recent years, the big tech of the West, in quotes, has been struggling more than ever before. Do you see companies out of Latin America and Africa starting to play a bigger role in the metaverse?
Oh, definitely. There is actually a spatial site called Africans in the Metaverse. There are several sites, and one of the sites that was created in spatial for WordCamp San Jose, Aida and I developed a spatial site to post pictures and of the speakers and the organizers. So using this tech and adapting it to conferences, adapting it to networking, adapting it to just about anything people can creatively think about. Because of our distance and because of the lack of focus from mainstream media, here in the States, we don't hear a lot about what's going on in South America. We don't hear about a lot of what's going on in Central America. But I'll use Central America as an example. There's WordCamp Central America that's coming up in 2023, WordCamp Nicaragua, WordCamp, I think it's Guatemala, WordCamp, what's the other one I'm missing? Panama, which are doing some phenomenal things with tech. And they too are working to integrate metaverse spaces into their WordPress development and WordPress um, project development and web development, because more and more companies are wanting to be able to take that content from WordPress and have a link or connection to metaverse sites where it's easily transitioned from, hey, we're looking at your website on WordPress. It's awesome, it's fantastic, but where's the access to where we can have people come into a metaverse site and be more engaged and more involved and collaborate more? Um, we encourage those that are in the WordPress community now to get into the pattern of learning more about the different spaces, whether it's Altspace VR, whether it's spatial, whether it's Decentraland, whether it's some of the others that are out there, because more and more companies and businesses may say, hey, we like your skills, we like your talents, we like your abilities. We are thinking about contracting you with you or hiring you, but we want to do a meeting with you in the metaverse so you can show us what you got. What do you have? What are your skills and talents? And that in of itself is one, a test to actually see if you can embrace that knowledge, those abilities to go to a metaverse site and have an interview, to go to a metaverse site and bring your, like they say, bring your wares with you and show, hey, these are my skills and talents, but that can also be placed in immersive environments. So those are gradually, coming more and more.
Awesome. And I see Yao has put out that there's a Ghanaian company that has been working in VR, Newbie in VR. You just sent that link so folks can check that out.
Okay.
Asher coming with more questions here, but I'm not sure if you wanted to show us something before we jump into more questions. How would you
Yes.
like to proceed?
Let me show, let's see, let me bring this up. I'm going to show, this is spatial. I'm
Oh,
going to
and
show,
sorry, would you be able to also share that link of Aida's spatial that you shared in the slides when you
yeah,
catch a moment? Thank you
sure.
so much.
You're welcome. All right, so can you see the gallery?
Yes.
Okay, so we're in the gallery. This is spatial. And in spatial, let's say you're in a video game. So you can use your arrow keys to move. You can use your mouse to move around. You can also, interesting enough, which I always thought was funny, was to use your Q key to spin. Dun, 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 dun. Use your W key, obviously, to walk. Use your E key to spin. Use your S key to turn around, your A key to go left, your D key to go right. So once you get familiar with your, with your keyboard, and this, again, as a teacher, ladies and gentlemen, it is always a good idea to practice your keyboarding skills because you never know. Now, the pictures are still populating, but it is filled with her gallery of her NFTs. And it took her quite a while to design each individual NFT. And in this case, when she created her NFT, the gallery, and there are multiple galleries, come as templates, and you upload your pictures into the template. Now, in this particular case, this NFT does not have a frame, but you can have frames around your NFT. And I'm glad it's looking like this because my laptop is several years old, and eventually all of her NFTs will show up, but they'll gradually populate. So this is why, patience is, something key to technology, because it doesn't always go as fast as we want it to. And also, if you're like me, I have several tabs open, quite a bit of tabs that I try to close out. But, going through her gallery, you can see the representation of her artwork. Now, the reason I'm showing this is, unfortunately, many schools do not have digital art programs, and they do not have regular art programs. So we like to encourage parents and grandparents and family members, if the young people, children in your family that do have artistic skills and abilities, please encourage them to really get involved and get engaged, because these are where the careers are now for developers of artistic work, either in gaming, in web design, in metaverse design, in immersive environments. Because this information and these skills can allow them to be entrepreneurs even in middle school and high school. Because there are companies out there that are looking for artists to design immersive environments. Now, a lot of these environments that we're going to see are out of templates, but the actual works are done by people. And there's not a limit or a constraint on age, okay? And multiple people are welcomed. They are encouraged to design and create. There's a young lady, her name is Artsy. The more you get involved in the metaverse, she's very well known. She's self-taught. She is at the point where her abilities, where she's hired to create concert halls and churches and all kind of environments. And she just started using it as a hobby, and it grew from there. Up here in the corner, there's a heart. So if you click it, it shows that you love this space. You have a camera where you can take a photo, record a video. You have a filming mode, but also right here, you can share it. So when you click on share, you come down here, you click copy, and the link, the actual link to view it is, let me admit this person. The actual link to share the link on social media, and you have access down here to social media platforms to share the link with others. This is still a growing platform. So I'm gonna stop sharing right here. I'm gonna put the link here. Now, I want to warn you, and it's not a bad one. When you go into an immersive environment, in some cases, it will generate an avatar for you. You have the capability to go in and modify that avatar to represent who you are and how you want to be perceived on the internet. So it's really important that you understand that there's a lot of flexibility. So you're not being put in a box, you know, oh, you have to be this particular type of avatar or that particular type of avatar. There's a site called, let me put it in here, Ready Player Me. Make sure I spell this right. Ready Player Me. And Ready Player Me, you can go into Ready Player Me and you can create an avatar, or actually you can create multiple avatars, and the coding in that avatar can be used across different platforms. So that's more and more becoming the standard for internet sites, because people are like, well, I created an avatar, I want to use it everywhere I go. Well, one of the challenges, you know, even, you know, we're dealing with technology is you're going from one server to another server, and it's that exchange of information. So people are in the process now of, okay, well, I'm on a server in let's say, for example, Florida, but I want to be able to take my avatar and be engaged in another site that may be in California that's on another server. So if you're familiar with Discord, you know, Discord use multiple servers. So the servers communicate, but they're trying to come up with a way for you create your avatar can go anywhere. So that's up and coming. So if there's another question while I bring up another site, we can, oh, hey, somebody's in here. Enjoy, oh, multiple people are in here, yay.
Hey,
Enjoy
don't forget to
yourself.
press that like button.
Don't forget to press that like button. And one more thing I wanted to show you. These little circles are little balls. These are, let me go over here. There we go. These are portals. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. I forgot. I didn't. There we go. I'm just talking and I didn't share. There we go. Okay. So these are portals, and portals allow you to teleport not just within the metaverse, but it will teleport you to websites. It'll teleport you to other information. So this is where the initial blending comes in. So even though we're in a metaverse site, if I click on this portal, I'll get a message, travel to San Jose 2022. Well, I can click travel and it can take me to the metaverse spatial site to WordCamp San Jose. And these are one of the things that are beneficial because you can travel around the metaverse to multiple sites. Now, the key thing is, let's see. There we go. Okay. Are y'all able to see this?
Yes.
Are you able?
Wow.
Okay. See? Okay. So you teleported to another site. All right. So from I about to say Shay, my daughter, Aida's she site to now we're in San Jose's site. There we go. Okay. So as we walk down the aisle, here are the organizers and the speakers and the portals to their social media information for WordCamp San Jose. And You can see as you're going through here, you can look at their pictures. Whoops, got a little bit too close. Okay. You can teleport to their social media. Now, each portal will take you to one area of content. So I believe we had these set up where it would take people to their Twitter or LinkedIn sites. So that way, as you come through here, you see their pictures, you get an idea who's speaking, you get an idea of who the organizers are. And here's a picture of the organizers right here. So you can see the engagement and you can see how interactive this can be. So just imagine, you have a conference and you create a gallery that people can come into and view and engage in before the actual conference starts. And this was, oh, I'm sorry, that was speakers, this is organizers. And there's room to grow in here. And this can be used throughout the year. So when you want to update it, when you want to add information to it, it's flexible. And this can be seen on a laptop, this can be seen on a phone, this can be seen on a tablet. If there were other people in here, obviously they can have conversations. So the cool thing about this was really interesting was when this was created, I don't know a lick of Spanish. Aida, she knows Spanish fluently, although she tells me, stop saying that. She knows Spanish fluently. She's Afro-Latina. And as we come in here every once in a while, and some of the organizers, and let me do this. Trying to do two things at the same time.
William, we have a now relevant question. Does WordPress power any of this?
No, it does not. These are all through, okay. No, it doesn't power any of this. The only thing that can be done is linked from a WordPress site to this, or linked from here to a WordPress site through a portal.
Is the hope or dream that people can launch these environments using WordPress in the future?
That is beyond my technical knowledge, so anything is possible. My hope is in the future that that WordPress will be in a position where web development will be in immersive environments like this. Because if you look at the generation of young people today, they really don't want to look at just, and I don't want to use the word traditional, but traditional websites. They want to be able to be involved in the content. They want to be able to, and here comes somebody in here, yay, to listen and hear, because you can actually have music playing in here. You can actually, obviously you can have meetings in here. So there's so much more engagement and involvement. One of the key areas, well, I shouldn't say one, two of the key areas, one, again, we go back to accessibility issues. If you have people that are mobility challenged, they can still feel part of the WordPress community and WordCamps by having an avatar and coming in here and having the conference streamed. So you can have a screen like the one in the far end streaming the WordCamp. You can have people that are anxious around a lot of people, that they feel more comfortable in this environment because they have more control. They can walk around, they can move around, they can come in here, they can be more engaged, they can watch videos. So the potential it's unlimited. And in this part, I have links to their TikTok channel, links to their YouTube channel, links to other content and information. So the beauty of it is, hey, there isn't that much of a limitation. With WordPress, when you're developing your site, and I'm not a coder, but I'm sure taking the link, so if I go up here to where it says share and copying the actual web link and embedding it into a WordPress website and using that as a launching platform so people can connect to a spatial gallery or another site, that has phenomenal potential to expand it. So I am going to stop sharing that one. Oh, we're doing great on time. Okay. Any other questions? So let's go to this one.
Yes, there was
Okay.
a bit
Oh, which
earlier.
software?
Oh, okay.
The site is called Spatial, spatial.io. In the process of building sites like this, there's software called Unity, and there are other software that's available as well when you're developing or creating metaverse sites. I know one of the softwares is called Unity, and they're all web-based. So you develop your site, you can create your site, you can move your site around, you can build it from the ground up, or you can use templates. A lot of people now are using templates because there's a preliminary site created, and they're just going in and adding what they want to add. How to integrate this with WordPress. Okay, yeah, that's the concern of integration with it. But as I was saying, as it grows, you do have a web link that you can embed in your WordPress development of a website. So if someone says, hey, I want a website, but I want to have a link from my website to a metaverse site, you can embed that link into what you're developing, what you're creating. And as I said before, like sites like Spatial and other sites, when you're entering into them, they'll either develop a avatar for you, which may be a standard avatar, but you can go in and change it. Or it may tell you at that particular time, go ahead and create your avatar before you actually get into the space, because you have to have an avatar. And it's as realistic as you can be. In the past, your avatars did not have legs. You had an upper body. You had arms that were down, or you didn't have arms, but you had your torso and your head. There are some now where they'll take a picture of your face and they'll allow you to build your avatar with your face. There are some that are full body as well. So it just depends on how that person that was creating the avatar decided to have as much functionality as possible. This next one I'm going to show. Where is this one at? Here is AltSpace VR. Okay, so with AltSpace VR, these are spaces that are created as well. And my avatar is over here to the right. So you can customize this avatar. So you need to have a Microsoft email address, like I believe it's a Hotmail. So when you come into AltSpace VR, you create your space. When you register, you'll download the AltSpace VR software to your computer. So when you log in, you'll come up to your beginning screen. So you have your destinations. You'll be given a tutorial to teach you about the space. You have your main menu that you can see what's going on in AltSpace. So every day of the week, there's something going on that has been created. So today is Thursday, and this is their Thursday lineup. So you scroll through to see what environment you want to be a part of on Thursday. and you can choose one environment that is open. So most of these places, they'll tell you, ended 2 hours ago, what their event was, what was going on, what was happening. So if I go back up here and I click all, it'll show me everything that's going on. And the really cool thing about this, I know I'm saying cool a lot, but it really is cool. You can come, let's say if we go to campfire, you can click info and you can read through the info and it'll tell you exactly what this is about, the campfire community. Who is hosted by, the time, the date, whether it's live, there's many live events, some are recorded. How many are currently attending? You have an entry code. So let's say here are some of my friends on the side and they're at one of these sites and they want me to come see what's going on. They can send me a message with the entry code, or I can click go to and follow them there if they're in those sites. So it gives you a lot of functionality and it allows you to maneuver around and move around. As far as your account information, you have your picture here, which you put up there. You create your name. You can have multiple accounts. Your avatar, you can customize your avatar. So if I click on customize avatar, I can change my body. And when I change my body, I can change my skin tone. I can change my body shape. I can change if I want nail polish, just all the wonderful things that somebody would want dealing with creating an avatar. So again, it gives you a lot of functionality. And I can change my hair color, all this cool stuff I can put on a hat. So you can have a lot of fun with it. And this, again, gives people a chance to create something that's a representation of them as real as possible as they want, or anything related to, their imagination. Okay. So there was, let me see if I can find it. Destinations. Let's find a site to go into. What's a good one? Well, let me go in here. Let me go into my home space. You're given a free home space and you can practice changing, designing, developing, creating in this space. So this is your space. So everybody has one. So I can walk around. There are advertisements. So you can invite people in here to your space. You can come in here and do all kinds of stuff. You can play basketball. You can look around. You can change your environment. There's so many things that you can do. If you can see my controls over here, I can turn my mic on or off. I have emojis. So if I'm having a conversation, I really enjoy what somebody's saying, I can do a heart emoji. I can clap. I can smile. I can raise my hand. I can be silly or sad or whatever. You also have, and I want to point out the safety aspect, you have a bubble around you and you can turn your bubble off. But if you do, it says the bubble is where you keep safe. Turning it off allows others to touch any part of your avatar body. That means that somebody can come up very close to you and engaged with you very close. Now, again, in human existence, everybody has a personal space. They have a personal bubble. And they put these here in AltSpace VR to encourage safety. Because even though we are avatars, the perception is when somebody walks up to you, there's a personal space, a personal boundary. And this is where we understand the human nature that you have your bubble, which you feel secure, because people all over the world can access this. So you want to make sure you feel comfortable. So as I was saying before, people come in here that may have anxiety issues, but they feel safe here. People may have mobility issues, but they feel safe here because they're in this environment that they're engaged in and that they call their own. So let me go into this other space. And again, all of these are free. And if you go to AltSpace VR, you'll be able to register and your space will be created. My suggestion is that you do the tutorial and take the time through the tutorial to learn as you go through it. Okay. Let me stop sharing. All right, so hopefully this is getting people excited and wanting to explore. Now, as far as the connection with AltSpace VR and WordPress is, you can have meetings in AltSpace VR relevant to anything. So even though we're opening up again for WordCamp conferences and meetups, you know, if you're interested in doing something different, you can have your meetup in an AltSpace VR environment where people are avatars and you can still have conversations and you can still have meetings. And you can still be engaged. Okay. So we have some more questions.
Yes, sorry, my Zoom is a little slow, but I did want to jump back to
All this
Ash.
metaverse stuff.
I did want to jump back to Asher's question around WordPress offers some free hosting like WordPress.com. In the future, what's the plan for making money in the metaverse while still offering free tools and free hardware? Is there a way to have free tools be better than paid? For example, open source.
Now, hey, come on in. Aida's here. Well, the only thing I can say about that is Aida has an answer. Go ahead. She heard the question. Go ahead.
So as far as the tools are concerned, I'm not sure, but the majority of what you have right now, metaverse wise, is free. So most of the platforms you can go on for free. There are paid options on those platforms, but the platforms themselves are available for free, including building within those platforms. So there are some metaverse platforms where you have to purchase quote unquote land, but the majority that are out there right now, you can get on for free, you can develop for free, you can add your website for free. None of those things cost anything, just getting on the platform itself. Did that help? Hey, everybody.
Hey, Aida. Yeah, Asher, please let us know if you have a follow-up to that.
Now, there was a question too, and Asher, still, do you have questions? There was one, do you know any platforms for educational simulations like physics labs? There is, what, you want to take that?
Yeah, so the Engage platform is the one that we're using for the majority of the education that we do. You may want to check it out. Again, that is one of the free platforms. In there, they have labs where you can bring in what they call IFX, which are 3D objects into the space. I don't know if right now they have a physics lab, but you can reach out to them if you get involved with them and let them know you would like to have one as part of the teaching, because they're always trying to expand their library of teaching. But I do know they have a chemistry lab. So in the chemistry lab, you can actually, they have a burner in there, they have the chemicals and they will burn. You take the not the Bunsen burner, but you take the actual chemicals and you put it to the burner and it will light up the way the chemicals will actually light up in real life. That's one of the reasons why we got excited about using Engage. It's because we can teach teachers that you can do an entire chemistry lab and have this and not worry about one of your students accidentally burning themselves or spilling the chemicals. And, you know, because I remember real chemistry class where we had the, you know, everything was live, right? So don't put this with that because you might blow up the whole lab. So you don't have to worry about that. And if you're working with students or schools that have limited resources, they can build these things out and it won't cost anything. So I haven't looked any further, but I do know that they have, you can dissect the frog, you can dissect the pig inside the metaverse, and it does, again, doesn't cost anything. You just go in there. Also, when you're dealing with chemistry, when you're dealing with atoms, they have a 3D atoms that you can put together and you can make them large. You can show the difference between what one atom is as opposed to another one. So I haven't seen the physics, but I would certainly look into it and see if they have one. If not, then I would recommend reaching out to them and saying that I would like to see if we could develop a physics lab in the metaverse.
Yeah. So I'm going to put email address to connect further, so we can send specific information related to Engage. Request to teach at gmail.com. Yeah, okay.
Okay, so someone else said, does the bubble stop people from accessing information through your avatar? So in the metaverse, no one can really access your information. What the bubble does is it protects your personal space. So understand that if you have on an Oculus or another VR headset, it's like standing inside of a room. So if I was standing in a room with you and you want to talk to me, but you're talking to me when you're right here, that could be really uncomfortable. It's just as uncomfortable in the metaverse when people are too close. So not every metaverse space has a protective bubble, but the ones that do is for that reason, so that if someone comes too close to you, they kind of disappear. They're not in your face. They're not, because let's be honest, people, that, you know, there are some spaces where people, these are open spaces. Someone mentioned about them being free. Is it, you know, what are some of the dangers? Well, one of the dangers is people don't always act right. They don't act right online. It's no different on the metaverse. Since I can't get any information from you, I don't know who you are. I don't know where to find you. I don't know anything about you. You can put any name you want, dress your avatar any way you want, or as they come, because some metaverses, they're just one way. And you can do whatever you want. You can be rude to me. You can, you know, do not so nice things, which has happened. So you have to be very careful when you're in the spaces, but the bubble just protects you and the other person from people getting too close. So if you don't like, I don't like strangers touching me. So I keep my bubble on when I'm around strangers. So if they get close, they can kind of vanish. But that's, they can't get your information in that way. And along those lines, someone else asked, so if it's free, like what if Facebook decides to change their server space? It's not on Facebook. You're just using the Oculus to kind of sign up. As a matter of fact, now with Meta, you don't have to have a Meta account. They have their own email address now, so you can do, you don't have to have a Facebook. You can just do it through the Meta account, but you don't have to use an Oculus. You can use a different kind of VR headset. It will depend on, you know, where it is. So for example, Allspace VR is on Microsoft servers. Everything in Microsoft on Allspace VR right now is free. Can Microsoft change their mind? Absolutely, especially as it continues to grow and more people use it. But who hasn't done that? You know, look at Twitter, you know, it goes from free and now people want to make money. That is a possibility. But the whole point of the metaverse is decentralization. It's going onto these servers. It's using multiple servers, not one. It's using multiple. Meta's Allspace VR, those are on servers that are not decentralized. But if you're going to go on a decentralized metaverse, then you'll need a wallet. You need to open a wallet, and then you'll enter in from Web 2 into a Web 3 space, which means that Web 3 space will be on multiple servers. So the idea of it running out of space, quote unquote, probably not, because it's worldwide. These are servers that are all over the world. So they're sharing that space.
By wallet, we mean a blockchain wallet.
Right, a blockchain wallet. You would need a blockchain wallet, because some of them you can only enter in through a blockchain wallet. Some of them you can enter in either way. So for example, Spatial, you can use your Google account, but you can also use your wallet. You can use your blockchain wallet. It can be MetaMask or something similar to that. and you can enter in through a blockchain wallet.
Right.
So along those same lines, they were asking about privacy of your data. Again, the whole point of decentralization and Web3 is that your data is yours and it's private and you don't have to share it. You become a number and no one knows. But we're learning as we go. All of us are learning as we go that some things are, everything is hackable, basically. They say it's not, but we've heard many people who've lost money through the blockchain, and it's unfortunately there are lots of scammers out there. So that is always a possibility. But the point of Web3 and the blockchain is decentralization, to protect your data and to protect you.
Yeah. And that goes back to education. You educate yourself and you learn as much as possible, but you also, how they say it in business, you surround yourself with people that are knowledgeable and willing to share information. And you'll hear many people say that they're not a financial advisor or they're not a legal expert. So you accumulate your knowledge and information, and use it to your benefit. But knowing that, anything is possible. We're in a digital world. The other day, Aida and I were talking about something with technology and looking at some stuff on Facebook. And the next thing you know is stuff get popping up on Facebook about what we were talking about, and Instagram. And so, there's still that, phone connection, personal information type stuff going on.
So someone asked about the ads, like we were just talking about. Again, the whole purpose and point of the blockchain and Web3 is that decentralization, so that corporate entities do not get involved. But the truth is they're going to. And there is on both sides, and I tell people, yes, there's great things about decentralization. There's great things about being private and not knowing your information. But what is the downside? Because someone asked about that. What is the downside? Well, think about money, right? So yes, there are spammers. There are people who know how to get into people's wallets, and it's not, they know how to break the code always. They just know people. They know how to say, hey, this is what we do, and da, da, da. For example, in OpenSea sells NFTs. We've been doing this for a long time. So when we first started learning, one of the first things I learned was that sometimes people will drop NFTs into your wallet. They'll just kind of drop them in there into your space. And if you open them, it's almost like if they have something in there that they can access your wallet. We know people who have lost lots of money by accidentally clicking a link or allowing someone to use something. Before you know it, they connect to their wallet and they clean them out. That happens. But the problem is with decentralization is that you can't go to your bank and say, hey, someone stole this money out of my account. It's gone. That's it. It's done. That's the downside.
I think for the wallet, you're usually given like a string of numbers, and it's kind of like your keys to the kingdom. So if you're using something like blockchain, which they have that information, actually, it's not always so secure. So the recommendation is usually put it on like a flash drive, put your key on a flash drive. Don't let it be on the internet anywhere. Because
but even that, they say, don't put it on the flash drive. Don't leave it in your phone. That's your private code. But the thing is that if they access your wallet, so you click the link which gave them access to your wallet, even without that, once they have access, they have access. Now that wallet has been compromised. And once that money is taken, you can't go to the bank and say, I just lost $60,000 in Bitcoin. Oof. We know people where that's happened. We know people who had NFTs, they're, either their children or them, and people have gone in and they accidentally clicked the link, or somehow they allowed someone to have access. They didn't realize that they did it and lost 60,000, lost 30,000. The end. You do that now on, with banks. You go to your bank and say, hey, someone got hold of my card and they spent all this money. Your money's insured. That's not happening. So then if people say, well, we want that to happen in the blockchain. We want our money insured. Well, now you're talking about central banks. Now you're talking about corporate banks. So that's the trade-off. We have to decide which one do we want, and I think we're going to always have both. We're not going to just go one way or another. So
I see that we are at time. This has been such a like mind-blowing and informational session. And I love that we had so many questions for you too as well. Are there any kind of parting or closing words you want to share with us before we close out today?
So I'm sorry I missed it. So I'll let him finish out. But
No
but I'm glad
worries.
that I was able to come at the tail end. But I did want to very quickly, someone said something about kids. That people know, yes, absolutely give them limitations. Absolutely, when you have your children, first of all, Oculus says 14 and up. But even with my 14-year-old, if I were to have her right now, we don't have her on it, but if we did, I would have her casting while she's on there. Be aware that the metaverse is an open space. Adults are in there, not just kids. So be very, very mindful. And yes, when it comes to addiction, algorithms, that's the same thing with social media. We already, we do social media classes as well. Though all of those things are meant to get people back onto the sites, back onto social media, back onto the metaverse. So be very aware and put those limitations for your children, because we didn't have that. So that's why we can walk away. But they're on it all the time. So help them make those limits. That's my 2 cents. So go ahead.
And schools are on it. So like I was saying earlier, if your children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, whoever, are asking questions, do the research with them so you can learn and grow, and ask them, what do you think? What do you know? Show me and teach me, because that empowers them. Because, you got to remember that the conversation, they're the future, but they're going to be future entrepreneurs and business owners. And trust me, they're going to want to make money, but teach them how to do it the right way. And, and they'll reap the benefits. And remember, we have a beautiful community. Look at all the people here and, here that's learning and share what you learned. And like I said, I put our email address that you can contact. We'll be happy to share and connect as well. So we appreciate it. And thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm going to hit the stop recording. We'll be sending out a message via Meetup. Thank you for signing up, and I'll share the recording with everyone. And hopefully, William and Aida, we can get the slides that you shared today too. I can send that along.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Let me,
Awesome.
can I upload it?
Oh, you put the link to the
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, we'll send the link for we'll put it up on Google Drive.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that.
Thank you. And
You're
I don't know why my Zoom is